Don't show it yet, but let me just look at it. So for defensive line, I want you all to be thinking, who are the top three producers? The top three, there's no ties here. They're clearly the top three in the Big Ten.
I would say probably just the best recruiting teams in the Big Ten. Ohio State, would USC do? I mean, probably Ohio State. I don't think Oregon really got good on the defensive line until Dan Lanning got there. So I mean, they were fine, but nothing really amazing till he got there. So I'll say Ohio State, USC, and either Michigan or Penn State. Let's see what other people are saying. Sky U Pod says Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there and say Oregon is 7th for defensive line. So they're not in the top three. They've produced 6 over the last 10 drafts, but 3 first-round picks. So they're tied for the second most first-round defensive line picks. Thibodeau, and I could name those if you want, but
Those are all probably Dan Lanning guys.
They're 7th overall.
At least two of those, one or two of those Dan Lanning guys. All right, Michigan, Ohio State, are those in the top three?
Let's see any other guesses too.
Penn State, John has in here.
So that guy nailed it.
John nailed it.
He nailed it. But number 1 is Ohio State. So this is their 3rd straight. So for the top 3 position groups, we're saying Ohio State is number 1 in the Big Ten, and the most 3 important according to JR and Big Jeff. So, but you can see Ohio State's 16 picks, 3 first rounders, and number 1 in the nation in defensive line. Kind of surprised. I mean, I figured they'd be 2 or 3. I was thinking Alabama would be 1. So just so you guys know, Clemson is number 2 in the nation with 15 defensive linemen over the last 10 years. Michigan is 3, though. Michigan is number 2 in the Big Ten with 14 picks, number 3 nationally, and they have more first-round picks than Ohio State. They have 4 first-round picks. And impressively, they've had a draft pick in the defensive line every year for the last 10 years. And the other thing that's wild is, they're probably going to have a couple defensive linemen first round in this year's draft, and I don't know how many they are, maybe 4 taken. So Michigan, now Ohio State though is going to have a lot this year. So we'll see how this shakes out, who the Kings will be once the 2025 draft is done. But both those schools are just producing excellent. And then Penn State 3rd, and it doesn't surprise me. I mean, they continue to have strong defenses, right? 11 total picks on the defensive line, 2 first rounders. They rank 7th nationally. So very good. And by the way, Bama is tied with Michigan at number 3. So Bama has also produced 14 picks over the last 10 years. So impressive company for Michigan and Ohio State for sure.
Does Michigan have the most, I don't know if you did this for top 25 or not, but did they have the most first round picks?
I didn't capture that. I mean, I've got the data, but I'd have to go in the query and run it. Right. So I don't know that for sure. But that's a good question. They definitely have most of the Big Ten. 4th, and that, by the way, I also highlight always in green, it's like good data. If it's the tan, it's not so good. But Iowa, impressively, 8, they're 4th in the Big Ten, 8 picks, only 1 first round pick, but that ranks 16th in the nation. And then all 4, 5 through 8 are the Pac-12 schools. So you got UCLA and USC tied for 7, and Oregon and Washington tied with 6. But UCLA has had 3 first-round picks, and Oregon 3 first-round defensive line picks. So again, that theme of UCLA just generating NFL talent better than their performance on the field. for sure. Um,
Yeah, I hope Deshaun Foster figures it out and it doesn't drop off because UCLA really is showing themselves to be an integral part to the NFL draft picks for the conference. Now, I do think the teams under them are going to start picking it up better. I think Nebraska's doing a better job here recently. Illinois, obviously, Indiana. I mean, that's what I think. Keep looking at all of these like position groups and everything. I see Indiana at the bottom pretty much every time, and it's just like
yep,
that is how crazy it is what Kirk Signetti did in his first year. Like he
no
brought
doubt.
in dudes from James Madison who had higher draft stock than guys on the Indiana team. And I mean, not all of them for James Madison. Obviously, he developed some guys too, but still, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
just kind of
Yeah,
crazy doing that.
no doubt. I mean, think about Indiana here, dead last was 0. I mean, defensive line, no wonder why they just got pushed around for years. And you're not going to do anything without a good defensive line. It doesn't matter how good your cornerbacks are if your defensive line is not good. You can only cover a guy so long,
Right.
you know? So now what's cool with Indiana, CJ West, he's for sure going to get drafted, right?
Yeah.
He had a great year. So boom, they're going to have one this year. And, and then the second guy, can't remember the guy, had a high number of sacks in the Big Ten. He's returning. He's kind of undersized defensive lineman for them. I think he will
Oh,
be
Mikal
draftable.
Kamara.
Yeah, Kamara when he comes out the following year. But gotta be good up front, or you have no chance. Rutgers second to last there with 1. I'm surprised Minnesota, with only 2, and then Wisconsin with only 3. I just thought Wisconsin would have been a little better up front. They had a period of like 6 years where they had 0 drafted defensive linemen. So just a vital position group here for sure. Yeah, post draft this year, I will look a lot different. Definitely.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think Indiana's probably just gonna have one defensive lineman drafted this year, but I agree with you. You get Mikal Kamara, the other defensive lineman, you get some more development for them. Things could change. Work might get drafted. We'll see. What I'm looking at right now doesn't project him as being drafted, but you never know. It just takes one team to see something in you.
that's right.
Um, but yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see.
The other thing to point out is you got this whole host of schools that I haven't mentioned that are your kind of like below average / middle of the road people, like Nebraska, Maryland, Illinois, Michigan State hasn't come up because they're not in the top 7 or 8, but they're not in the bottom 3, or they're always 10th, 11th, 12th, like in the lower half, right?
Yeah.
And so they're hardly going to come up here because they're middle of the Packers who just kind of get lost in the shuffle.
All right. Boy, this is a comment I never thought I would see in my life. Here, Jeff. I think Indiana takes a step back and
That's
goes
awesome.
9-3.
Not as it
Mish, I'm not
so
saying you're wrong, Mish. I just think it's hilarious that we're saying Indiana a step back is 9-3, and that's what John is saying. In addition to it, man, that's just that is
so
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 cool.
for those of you who don't know, I graduated from Indiana 1990 when we were consistently good back then. If we went 9-3 this year, I can tell you this: people are not expecting anything like the run we had last year. Even if we went 8-4, the majority of fans are going to be like, "Okay, this still proves Signetti knows what he's doing," because we hadn't had even an 8-4 season in over 20 years, let alone going 11-2. So
For sure. All right.